Good morning, happy Saturday. What a way to start. I've had to get up early so I can go into Teddington for an RHP away day, and it's snowing, but at least here's the bus.
Welcome to another episode of Toby Stupid Vlog.
Look at that, the weather's improved-ish to white, or white sky rather than white falling out of the sky. That was a very useful, constructive day, going around looking at the sheltered and retirement homes for RHP. Obviously I couldn't film them because these are people's houses and they live there, and they have a level of privacy, so it was fascinating. It was all around Twickenham and Whitton and that part of the town, and I have now the whole afternoon.
So it's the last day of January. Try saying that when you've spent all morning trying to think about retirement housing provision. And it's therefore time for another edition of Baby or Bump. Do I have a new niece or nephew? Do we have a baby yet? Or is there still a bump? And today's answer at 2:45 is bump. Still, I'll keep you updated. May I be the first person to wish you happy February. Now, I know February is somewhat of a dichotomy for some people because it's generally, in this country at least, the coldest, wettest, most miserable month of the year. But it's also the shortest. Anyway, it's Monday, is the 2nd of February, so therefore it is time for Baby or Bump. What time is it? That's quite important as well. It's 11:05. Bump. Oh, still no baby. I think it's taking the piss now, to be honest. Punctuality is everything in my mind.
Oh, piss. I guess it had to happen at some point, and I guess there isn't too much. Not helpful though.
It is 10:55 on Tuesday the 3rd of February, and we are still at code bump. So that's today's update for you. As you saw, it was snowy last night, but it being London, it's all gone now. Thank God. See, when we have snow for more than 24 hours, I think, oh God, snow's so annoying. And then we didn't have it at all last year. And I thought, it'd be quite nice to have some snow. And when I woke up and saw it this morning, I was like, oh, not snow. So, yeah, I'm indecisive when it comes to frozen precipitation. What can you do? So, talking about late babies, I just read a very interesting article that actually says that the due date is firstly a misnomer and should be called an estimated date. And secondly, only about 4% of babies are actually born on the due date. And that it's actually very, as you can hear from 4%, incredibly uncommon. 60% of babies are born within a week either side of the due date. So even that is only just a majority. So that gives you some feeling. So I was thinking last Monday is the due date. I was thinking, there'll be a baby any day now. Not necessarily at all, frankly. Anywhere between 37 and 42 weeks. I mean, that's a 5-week window. That's enormous. It's good to see that after thousands of years, we've got this down to a really fine art. Happy Wednesday. It is, what's the time? It is 1:45 on Wednesday the 4th of February. And I can tell you that the result of Baby or Bump is bump. Just. More updates to follow. Anyway, it's also pre-season testing in Formula One. Completely tangential subject here. As you might know, I'm a big F1 fan. Testing bit is when you start to see, what the cars look like, how they run and what have you. And the thing that bothers me the most about Formula One is not the noise. I think that's idiotic. The amount of noise a car makes is not slightly proportional to how much fun it is to watch it. It's Bernie Ecclestone, a man who is willfully corrupt, let's say. He's been to court more than once for accepting payments to do things for other people. And, he's accepted that he has taken payments, but that in some cases it's not illegal. I would still say that's a form of corruption. And a man who has seemed to have presided over the exit of, 3 Formula One teams in the last 3 years, and it could be more. And it's not healthy for the sport. You want more cars on the grid, and you want more teams, and you want the engineering challenge to be as important as the driver challenge. So I'm not a big fan of his, and my feeling is that he needs to move on before the sport becomes completely, unsustainable. So there we go. There's a nice little rant for the day. Let's talk about writing. This is a subject I know very little about, which is why I want to talk about it. I should preface the comments by saying that when I was at school, my least favourite subjects were English and any other written analytical subject that follows from that. So that would be history. I liked learning of it, just didn't like writing about it. And any of the less analytical, sort of mathematically analytical subjects. So I like the sciences where things can be boiled down to something very small that you could fit on a post-it note. Didn't like subjects where you had to write 10,000 words to explain your thoughts. Broadly speaking, that's just how my mind works. What I've noticed in recent years is I very much enjoy writing. I don't do it very much. Maybe that helps. But once I start, it just kind of goes. It just, it's... The trick is, I find, you sort of splurt every single thought you've got onto a piece of paper, like emptying all the pieces out of a jigsaw. Make sure you've got them all first. So you sort of chuck them all on the floor. And then the art is in arranging them in the right order. So the first job is always like brain dump. And the second job is tidy it up and then make it smarter and neater and more concise. Like if you can say the same thing in less words, then you should. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed writing recently, and I'm writing something today, and it's strangely enjoyable. I'm not sure I could do it as a job. I think the creative process sometimes is not enjoyable if it's under very heavy, non-self-imposed constraints. So if somebody else goes, do this, like this, for these reasons. But yeah, it's quite pleasant. I'm interested to know whether you think the same, and maybe you could write the answer below using words. It's a strange one. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. A newfound love of a subject that you once hated. That's what I'm getting at, I suppose. And writing just happens to be my example. Hello again. It is 10 to 5, which is why it's nearly dark. Although, to be fair, it's now not dark at 10 to 5, which is a massive improvement over a month ago. Anyway, update, baby or bump? Answer is, boy. It arrived about an hour ago. So he and his mum are currently resting. It's quite late in the day, so I don't know whether we'll actually get to see anyone today. It might be tomorrow. But that's good news. And that is resolution to this ongoing unknown. So that's fantastic. So there we go. Let's talk about the biggest story of the day. Rajar. I'm joking. We'll get to Rajar. So yes, I have a new nephew, and therefore #double uncle. So that's very exciting and has been a long time coming, in so much as he's a week and a bit overdue. But as I said earlier, due dates are rather an estimation rather than a calculation. So that's very exciting. And in fact, he already has a holiday booked because we booked this family holiday for July. So that's nice, isn't it? You're born and the first thing you get told is you're going on holiday. How exciting. So yes, they're still at the hospital today. They're coming home. And then, got to get used to the idea of being a 4-person family, which is quite scary all of a sudden. let's move on. Let's move on to Rajar. Right, so today's Rajar Day, or rather, if you work in the industry, technically it was yesterday. Today is the public announcement day. Well, obviously, I don't work in the industry, and therefore Rajar Smileys no longer functions. Do I have a feeling on it? Not really. I obviously always look at the heart results, having worked there for so long. They're back up. They were down. It's all over the place, frankly. The fact that they have a fantastic share doesn't necessarily mean that, doesn't mean much until I look at the overall hours numbers in London. The reach numbers in commercial radio in London as a whole, they're all very similar, and they're all below 2 million, which I don't think is great. I do think as a finite size that the London marketplace will ever reach. Again, mainly because of digital competition for people's hours, as it were. Not a specific medium, but just like time spent doing other things that aren't radio. So, if you had a good Rajar, congratulations. If you had a bad Rajar, the system's flawed and it's not your fault. Happy Friday. So yesterday I went into town for lunch, which was very nice. Chris bought me lunch at Hawksmoor, which is awesome. So that was a delicious steak and wine affair. So that was very nice. I didn't film anything because I was having too much fun, frankly. And today is the last day of the week and the sun's come out. So this afternoon we're going to pop into Kew and see what's going on there. Crystal's out this evening, so I'm going to have to do some food experimentation for this evening's dinner. So that should be good. Now, let's move on to a subject I love talking about.
Watches. So I pointed this watch out to you before. This is the watch I bought in Switzerland in August. It's a Swatch. But it's an automatic movement. So usually if you buy an automatic watch, a good example of that would be like a Rolex or an Omega, and they cost about $3,000 upwards. The cheap ones are about $3,000. And what's clever is when you move them, the mechanism at the back rotates and winds. So it winds the watch, so you never have to wind it up. Well, obviously you don't with a quartz watch either, which is what most cheap watches are. And quartz watches keep very good time, but you have to change the battery every now and again. So this is a mechanical watch, as it's called, because there is plenty of moving parts, but no electrical circuit. And they're called System 51 by Swatch, and they've just released another 4 colours, which I'm very excited about, although I can't really justify buying one. But if you want a cleverly well-made piece of engineering that keeps excellent time and doesn't require any batteries, then these are they. They're about £100, which, as I say, in watch terms is not very much. Obviously, you can get a quartz watch for about 20 quid, but in terms of a clever, well-made watch piece of technology, it's about as good as you get.
And I get easily excited about watches. So the fact that there's more coming out, it's just a horrible temptation. There's already 4 of these. So there's a white one, a black and red, and a black and blue one. And they're bringing out like a turquoise one and a pink one and some sort of cream ones with sort of Bauhaus numbering on the front and all sorts. But if you're interested, it's called System 51, SISTEM 51 from Swatch. These ones, the last year's model, you can buy in the UK. The new ones, I don't think you can get them in the UK yet. Probably only they're coming out in the US and Switzerland first, obviously. So there we go. Watch Geek update complete.
So apart from the gale force wind, it's lovely out here. I'm going to see if any more of the spring flowers have opened, if I don't get sort of blown into a pond or something.
So Kew's Orchid Festival starts on Saturday, so I'm having a sneak peek before it's open to the public because there's nobody here on a Friday, but they're always finished. So let's have a quick nose. So thank you very much for watching, and the increase in family size that I've witnessed this week. I'm sorry there wasn't any further talk about financial instruments and credit ratings, but can't have fascination every week, it seems. Anyway, I hope you will subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.